Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community, brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to share education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of PWS United, a podcast for the PWS community. And so I am joined with Carrie, and we are going to go through our polls for this past week, Volume 122. This came out on May 2nd, 2025. Now, before we get into it, I just want you all to know that we do have a special treat. We have an interview with Dr. Destin Pasha, and she spoke with us about her work, her upcoming educational trend survey, and what she's going to be talking about at the conference. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, back to the polls. So I'm sure most of you or all of you are aware that May is National PWS Awareness Month. So it's a big month ahead for this community full of awareness and education and just sharing with your community about your experiences, about your loved one, and letting them find ways they can support you. I like to add that part. And we also have a PWS Awareness Hub, and that is on our website. And that is for anyone wishing to participate in social media campaigns, fundraisers, or legislative actions for proclamations, or wishing to buy PWS merchandise or yard signs or print flyers. There's just all kinds of resources on the PWS Awareness Hub to help you celebrate and honor PWS Awareness Month.
I also suggest to our listeners, if you have not done so already, to follow us on social media first and foremost. But every day we're sharing a daily fact about Prader-Willi syndrome. And it's been awesome to see how many shares those get on people's social media pages to help spread that awareness to their family and friends. So we encourage you to do that if you have social media, if you feel inspired.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a really easy way. Like, we've done all the work for you. So you just go in and you share it, and, you could say a little bit about your loved one, maybe make it a little personal. But it's just a great, easy way to let everybody know what's going on. So yeah, thanks for that reminder, Carrie. Also, a great way is to share the podcast.
Yes.
Tell your friends about the podcast.
We always love to give a shameless plug.
Yes. Yep. Share episodes on Facebook or, whatever. Do what you do. So in regards to the International PWS Conference, unfortunately, the family program is at capacity and registration is now closed. Now, I say unfortunately in case there were families that were wanting to come, but also how incredible. How incredible and exciting. Yes, absolutely. So there's going to be so many of us families there in community, gathering together, being
From around the world.
from around the world. Yes, learning, educating, connecting. It's going to be incredible. So yes, thank you everyone for signing up for that, for registering, and for creating space in your life for this conference, because it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep. Our PWSA memory for this week was, of course, PWS Awareness Month, which was officially recognized in May of 2010. So it started in December of 2009 when the House passed a resolution to establish a National PWS Awareness Month. And this resolution was brought to the U.S. House of Representatives by Republican Congressman Ed Royce and Democratic Congresswoman Jane Herman, both of California. And this was thanks to the efforts by Amy Porter, who was an aunt to Abby with PWS, and Tom and Renee Compier, parents to William with PWS. The bill went to the Senate and was passed on May 27, 2010, making May the official National PWS Awareness Month. So thank you to those families who worked hard and fought to get Prader-Willi syndrome recognized on a national level. You paved the way for more awareness, advocacy, and hope around this country and beyond. There will be a link in the show notes to share your memory if you have something you want to share, or PWS highlight that you would like us to to highlight this year because this is a reminder, again, our 50th for PWSA. And so all
Mhm.
year we're sharing PWS and PWSA memories. Our spotlight on hope is a great one. Cameron Graziano, a 26-year-old living with PWS, began Taekwondo when he was just 9 years old and could barely balance on one foot. He stuck with it and earned his black belt at 17. After years of dedication and some physical setbacks, like a foot injury and months of physical therapy, Cameron is back at it. He is working toward a new black belt. He also created his own curriculum called Karate with Cameron and teaches this martial art to other individuals with PWS through the Prader-Willi California Foundation, also known as PWCF. So this Spotlight on Hope was submitted by Cameron's mom, Lisa Graziano, who we know well and love. And I will say that Freya actually took this class a couple times when it fit in
Really?
our schedule. Yeah, it was really
Oh,
sweet to
fun.
walk past her room and see her in there, some faces on the screen, all working
Mhm.
hard, learning. It was really
Oh,
sweet. So what a special treat that
yeah.
is.
That's amazing, Cameron. Way to go.
Yeah. And you can find a link to this blog that Lisa wrote in our show notes. And you will also find a way to share your own spotlight on hope, which we always love more of them.
Yes, please. All right, moving on now to some events and fundraisers in the PWS community. And again, PWS Awareness Month is the perfect opportunity to take advantage of all these great events and ways just to get involved during this special month. So, the first event that we have listed here is happening next Wednesday, May 14th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So please join us for this educational workshop to learn more about special needs planning. Topics covered will include an overview of supplemental security income and Social Security disability insurance, Medicaid and waivers, ABLE accounts, special needs trusts, and other important considerations to help family members better understand how planning for a child with special needs is different both legally and financially. And the webinar will be presented by Ivalo Grigorov, who is a financial advisor, and a special needs parent to Luca, who is 8 years old, living with Prader-Willi syndrome. So if you have not registered for this great webinar opportunity yet, we invite you to do so at the link in our show notes. As I think everyone listening probably knows by now, we are doing a really awesome campaign throughout May called United We Brunch, where we're trying to get a brunch event happening in every state in the US. And I think we have close to 15 at this point, Annie, which is honestly amazing for the first
Yeah.
year of this. I think the eventual goal is to get one in every 50 states, but for now, 15 is a great achievement, a great accomplishment. So we are so grateful to the community members who stepped up to the plate this first year as we hosted this. So we're going to do some spotlights around these throughout the month of May as they happen. And the first one we're spotlighting actually happened in April. It was the kickoff basically to this great campaign. And it was Magnolias and Mimosas in Colorado, which was hosted by the lovely Kat Lucero. She is a mom and a PWSA board member. So Magnolias and Mimosas was not just a ladies' brunch, but also a celebration of hope, strength, and community. The event featured a variety of activities, including a raffle, a fun backdrop for photos, PWS educational activities, and delicious food and drinks. Kat wanted to, in her message here that we shared, thank Melanie, our development director, and her team for helping to make her event easy to host from start to finish, and followed up by saying, honestly, the hardest part for me was picking out a dress and making sure I could get my ideas and not to look like a Pinterest fail.
I love that quote.
Oh, Kat, you are the best. So we just want to give a big congratulations to Kat on such a wonderful event and thank her for spreading awareness about Prader-Willi syndrome. And she also shared some lovely photos with us that are on our social media pages if you want to go and check those out.
Yes. And I'll put a little plug in for mine because
Yes.
because mine has the element of anybody can attend virtually. There is going to be an element. So if you are wanting to know more about it, or if you want to attend an event, if you want to support it in any way, but there's not one happening near you, mine is a disability awareness open mic and story share for my community, my local community. But we will have that on Zoom for an hour. We're going to have an hour of the open mic on on Zoom. And so if people want to go to mine, it's called The Good, the Bad, the Bubbly. And there will be a link to that. And $15, that's kind of what the running donation is for these events, because PWS is on the 15th chromosome. So $15, get you a Zoom link. And at this point, you can't participate because I don't know how to do that. That's too much technology for me. But you can watch people get up. I'll get up. Freya's going to write a poem and she's going to get up and do a poem. I have another PWS mom coming who hopefully she will get up. And then I have, some local community members that are going to get up on the mic to talk about other aspects of living with a disability or caring for disability. But anyway, I'm really excited. And I think it's, it could be a fun way for people to participate if that's the only option. You'll have to get your own champagne. So we're going to move on to advocacy. There's a call for new members for the Texas Drug Utilization Review Board. So Texas Health and Human Services Commission is looking for new members for the Drug Utilization Review Board, including reps from the Medicaid enrollee community. If you're interested in the statewide Medicaid Drug Utilization Review Program, you may want to apply. The Texas Health and Human Services Commission Executive Commissioner will appoint members to the board to serve a term expiring August 31st, 2028. These applications are due by 11:59 p.m. Central Time, May 8th, 2025, and you can learn more at the link in our show notes. The Florida PWS community had an exciting time last week as they celebrated PWS Awareness Day proclamation. PWS families in the state of Florida celebrated victory on Thursday. The Florida Senate signed a proclamation recognizing May 1st as PWS Awareness Day. The day began with a press conference outside the Senate chambers at the Florida Capitol. After the press conference, Republican Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez took to the Senate floor to officially proclaim May 1st as PWS Awareness Day in Florida. Thank you to all the PWS families who helped push this proclamation day through the Florida legislature and were there to celebrate and represent our community. Now, just a reminder, we do have a proclamation toolkit if you're interested in reaching out to your local and state officials to have something similar in your community, and that link will be in our show notes.
I love, Annie, really quick, the range of the proclamations that we've seen over the years. They can either just be a simple, call or email to your local government officials, your elected officials, and receive like a letter in the mail, and you just take a photo outside with it, all the way to this event, which was a giant event with several families. There was a whole day itinerary agenda, and it's just amazing to kind of see what these proclamation days can bring and do. And again, similar to our fundraisers, it's different levels of you can do, a little goes a long way or make it a giant scaled event.
Yeah.
And it's just I've never seen an event this big for proclamation before, so I wanted to highlight that. It doesn't have to be that big, but it's
Right.
awesome that we had one that big.
Right. It's also Dorothea's home state, so I imagine that
Yes,
had something to
true.
do with it.
Yeah, agreed. All right, on to family support now. I am so excited for this first section here. It's our very first Adults with PWS Advisory Board Spotlight. We will be spotlighting all of our Adults with PWS Advisory Board members throughout the month, and we are starting with the absolutely wonderful Victor Penta. So again, we're doing this in honor of PWS Awareness Month, and the Adults with PWS Advisory Board is made up of individuals living with PWS. There are 8 of them, I believe. So Victor, who is 31 years old, resides in Arizona and has been on the Adults with PWS Advisory Board since 2019. And in an effort to learn more about our adults with PWS and to shine a light on their lives and experiences, we asked all of the members some questions about their lives and what they want people to understand about Prader-Willi syndrome. So we pulled one of the quotes from an answer that Victor gave. He said, "Because I struggle with PWS, it makes me understand others who have other disabilities and their struggles. It makes me more caring for other people." That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that one.
So we invite you and encourage you to learn more about Victor by going to the link in our show notes. And again, we'll share more of these over the course of the next several weeks, and we're so excited to do so. Next up, we really want to put another giant call out here for messages for Mother's Day. So, as we all know, mothers are incredible. They are everything for the family more often than not. Caretaker, nurturer, nurse, teacher, therapist, so much more. The cooks, the shuttle drivers, homework assistants, the list goes on and on as we all know, right? So all that to say, we are so grateful for the mothers in our lives and all of the PWS moms out there. And for this Mother's Day, we are offering a space to share words of appreciation and gratitude and celebration for the PWS mom in your life. So please share a photo and a special message of your mom for our social media leading up to Mother's Day and on Mother's Day. And you can find that link in the show notes. And we would love to have submissions no later than today.
No. So we'll take submissions through May 7th. So by end of day, May 7th is awesome. So dads, we're talking to you.
Come on, dads.
Come on, dads. You got to represent. You got to show your mamas.
Yes. And again, as we mentioned in our last Pulse episode, if you feel inspired to write about another PWS mom and just give her some love, we encourage you to do that as well. Next, in our family support section, the Behavioral Innovations for Rare Diagnosis, or the BIRD Lab at the Chicago School, is working in collaboration with PWSA USA to develop a family resource program. So we will be holding a series of focus groups to get your input on a variety of topics, including the most important knowledge and information needs for individuals with PWS and their families, the daily challenges and successes you experience as a caregiver, the kinds of emotional, behavioral, and medical supports that are most needed, what helps or hinders you in navigating education, healthcare, and social systems, and then the best ways to deliver support, live, pre-recorded, one-on-one, or in a group setting. Your perspective will help us build this program that supports families like yours at every stage of life. So if you have any questions, please contact Dr. Annette Griffith, and we will have her email in our show notes. And then for more information on the focus groups, you'll also find additional links in the show notes to get more information. And then our Ask Nurse Lynn for this week is submitted on behalf of a female, 2 years old with an unknown subtype. And the question submitted was, my daughter has had a very high fever for the last couple days. There are lots of viral things going around here, so I'm thinking that that's it. Is it normal that kids with PWS get fevers? I have read before that usually they don't break out in a fever. And of course, Lynn had an amazing answer to this. It's so prevalent, especially around, really any month in the school year, I would say, as Annie has come to understand recently in her house. So I think this can really help a lot of our families out there get some good information on this subject. So thank you so much, Nurse Lynn.
So one thing I want to put in here is another reminder that Nurse Lynn submissions are for non-urgent, non-emergency medical questions. We had one recently that came in and Lynn happened to be out of the office for a while with some family issues. And when I checked it, it was a little more urgent than what the Nurse Lynn email sufficed. I think things are okay now, but I just really want to stress that we have a hotline for medical emergencies, for urgent questions. If you need to speak to somebody sooner rather than later. I mean, Lynn's turnarounds are pretty good for this for this format.
Right.
But it is not for emergencies, not for urgent questions.
Right.
And so if you would like the number, it is.
So our 24-hour crisis phone line number is 941-312-0400. And as Annie mentioned, that's the number to call with more urgent crisis-related questions. And our family support team is there to help in a more timely manner for those types. Yeah.
Yes. So please keep sending your submissions in. And again, if you have an urgent need or emergency, please call the hotline. If it's an immediate emergency, call
Right.
911, of
Right.
course. And then call us.
Yeah.
And we're on to research. So we had the VICAT XR Town Hall, and we have a lovely summary that is written up for those families who missed the town hall. And this town hall was for families to share encouraging experiences from the phase 3 clinical trial of VICAT XR, describing noticeable improvements in behavior, reduced food-related anxiety, and better metabolism for their loved ones with PWS. While some side effects were noted, parents emphasized the importance of patience and close monitoring, and many reported a smooth experience receiving the medication. You can read our full blog for highlights, helpful resources, and how your voice can shape what we learn through the Global PWS Registry, and that link will be in our show notes. Now, finally, finally, we get to have Destiny come in and have a new voice in the podcast. So we interviewed Destiny about her new survey, Educational Trends of Students with PWS. And I don't need to explain it because Destiny is going to do that herself. So Destiny, take it away.
Absolutely. First, I want to say thank you for having me here today. I remember when you guys did, I think it was one of your first podcasts for like a special ed, like back to school session. I remember being kind of discussed about the article I wrote with Stacy Ward and then also the upcoming parent training series. And so I was so excited to be mentioned on your podcast. And so now I'm here today. So this is super exciting for me and my first podcast. I am a PWS education specialist, so I provide support and services to families really all over the world when they have questions on education. But my services do focus in the United States due to, the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act and making sure that students with PWS have plans that are well developed, individualized, and focus on their needs, not just educationally, but behaviorally, and even with help. All of that creeps into school where they spend the majority of their waking hours. And then, really, this kind of all came out because I do a lot of these speaking engagements and conferences, and I can speak about what I know based on the families and the children I support, but I didn't really ever have a true comparison. We have statistics from the Department of Ed on the percentage of students with disabilities and percentage of students that participate in the general ed class or how many have one-on-one aids, but there's nothing for the PWS community. I could not find anything really. We do know that they have complex needs. And again, since majority of kids spend their day at school, not all, but a lot do, we really just have limited research on it. And I reached out even to the PWS registry, and they have some basic questions on education, but nothing that really was kind of formal and focused on IEPs. So that's kind of the beginning of where this all started.
Yeah, well, as a parent who has spent years advocating and asking for specific services and getting some, not getting other ones, it is it's always nice to have like an ally and to have information and all of that in this realm. So I appreciate that. So this is the educational trends of students with PWS. This is the survey that you are putting out. So you're asking for anybody can participate, correct?
Yes, the only requirements is that the student lives in the United States, since we are focusing on IEPs, and that the child has PWS. And whoever fills it out is over the age of 18 and a caregiver, any type of caregiver. So obviously, not everyone is a direct parent. Some are grandparents or adopted parents.
If you could just kind of give us an idea of what will be on the survey, like what kinds of questions or information are you looking for?
So the survey really goes into all realms of education. We do ask that if a family has available their child's IEP, behavior plan, or evaluations, that they upload those redacted. It is not a requirement. I really want to focus a big one on that because I think that has stopped some families. The questions do range, and really the IEPs are to support it or to find wording that maybe different states or areas use for some of the services. So basic questions are, where they are educated, how much time they might spend in a general ed class, how much time they might spend in a separate class, or, some children are at different alternative placements. or even places like Latham and receiving their education there. So we're trying to get a true understanding of where children are being educated, the type of services. There's academic services, speech, language, OT, PT. I could go on forever. So we're trying to identify what are the, trends and commonalities. I mean, we do have obviously research on some of the learning deficits or challenges with executive functioning, and we know the speech and language deficits that can go along, but we don't know what that really looks like in the school setting. How much are they receiving? How often? And then, obviously a pretty big question I get asked a lot is about the need for aides or a paraprofessional for children with PWS. So I think, this research will hopefully give us an idea of when and where that has been found to be necessary, useful, helpful for children. Kind of expect the more a child spends in the general ed class, expecting that there might be a higher likelihood of needing a one-on-one versus if they don't. But again, without the research, without the participants completing the survey, we really don't have that information to share out. And with that information, our goal is to then obviously provide additional supports for schools, professional development opportunities for teachers and school staff and paraprofessionals to help our students be in the best place for their learning, whatever that might be for them, because we all know how PWS truly is a spectrum. So, I don't want to overgeneralize anything that we receive from this. And that's why having the actual IEPs could be more helpful. But again, that is an optional upload to it. So we really just want to get as many participants across the country to complete this so we have a good set of data.
Yeah, so you're not putting a cap on how many people can participate, right?
We are not. The more the merrier. Really, it's hard to make any sort of outcomes from limited data. So the more is always going to be better. I would rather have as much as possible and take the time to go through that to be able to make solid plans moving forward for students with PWS.
And so then once you complete the surveys and you share this information with schools, with professionals, and then what effect does that have? I guess that's my question.
Well, for me, it's kind of giving us even just a baseline. I mean, we're in 2025 and we really don't have a baseline of what services and supports children with PWS are getting in schools. I hypothesize that there has been a big shift over the years with multiple things. Obviously, IDEA coming in 75, but then you also have the growth hormones that, had such a positive effect on children with PWS. And then now all the research and understanding better of how they learn, how they think, that there likely has been a shift, but we don't know that without the data. So, getting this baseline will also help us look in the future and see if any of the interventions and supports and strategies we as a community provide, as PWSA provides, is making an impact. And again, I would make a strong assumption that it has over the years, but this will give us at least that baseline moving forward.
Is there a deadline date that people need to fill this out by?
To have their responses included in the preliminary results presented at the conference. Have it completed by the end of May 31st.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this work and telling us a little bit about it. And we encourage all families of the appropriate age to check out the survey. There will be a link to that in the show notes, of course. But before you go, we also wanted to talk to you about our upcoming conference.
Yes, we are so excited to have Dr. Pasha join us for the 2025 International PWS Conference. And you're going to be pretty involved in this throughout the week. But I'm so excited that more families get to meet you and learn from you during those 2 family program days. So can you give a little overview of the sessions? Because you're doing two sessions during the family program. Can you give a little overview of what those are and what age ranges they're going to kind of focus on?
Absolutely. Again, I am super excited for this upcoming conference. I know everyone listening is, as well as you guys. This year, I mean, I'll be honest, one of my first specific PWS conferences was at PWSA USA a couple years ago. And it was such a great time being able to meet families from all over and to meet all of the researchers and really the people that have been the groundbreakers in, the research. So this year, I am presenting 2 times for the family conference. One of them is focusing on the transition from IFSPs to IEPs. So, in layman's terms, in case any families are not quite there yet, it is that time when you are going from receiving services on a family support plan into a public school setting, which happens at age 3. So for that conference, it would probably be anybody who is within, birth to 3. And then even if you're right at that cusp, because at that point is probably when you are starting to plan and have evaluations done and determine, what eligibility under IDEA, and then coming up with an IEP. So that's a pretty big transition in families' lives because they are likely entering into some sort of public school setting, whether it's for part-time, specific services, or all day. And then the other one, we are just focusing on what I kind of consider the must-haves. Obviously, I meet with families all day long, and I in meetings all day long, and sometimes we have to prioritize. I've seen some really amazing IEPs. I've seen some not really amazing IEPs, and we can't accomplish everything in one meeting. Sometimes meetings go on for 6 times to get an IEP correct. So when we're focusing on kind of those, necessities and priority items, that's what we're going to talk about in the session on the must-haves for an IEP, specific to children and students with Prader-Willi syndrome, just because there are some very unique areas that I like to make sure are a little bit more encompassing, as well as specifics that can help a child be successful and safe in their school setting.
And so would that one apply also to, I mean, because I feel like they've been doing really well with Freya's IEP, but she's going into high school, and I imagine it's going to look very different. So is it appropriate for like high school kids too, your workshop? Or
Really, that session on the must-haves is for anybody with an IEP. So obviously age 3 to 22. But I do think what you just said is a really good point. There are some different must-haves that are for early childhood, kind of those middle school years and high school. For your specific question, I think between middle school and high school is less of a difference, less of a change. It is really the preschool, pre-K into kindergarten, huge differences in an IEP and services that are provided. And then from elementary school to middle school. Those are the 2 years that I find are the most difficult, not only on the child, but also on the family and on the schools, because what we call the accepting school has often no idea what they're, getting into, and really don't have the background knowledge or, have ever worked with a child with PWS. So sometimes we're kind of starting all over every time you go through schools, but at least middle to high is a little bit more similar, but still that idea of you're starting from scratch again with a whole new set of teachers and teams and admin and support staff. But yes, so it's really great for any family member or anybody who has, in the care of a child with an IEP from 3 to 22.
That is wonderful. I think so many families have these questions and need some support around this. So I can't wait for them to hear from you and learn from you, and that you gave us some little free advice ahead of time. We appreciate it.
I do find that the sessions can be very overwhelming. So I do want to tell parents that, because I feel like I have so much information. I want to get it into that time frame. But as always, I will have any sort of handouts or, conference notes, or even just some of those must-haves I will be sharing with you guys, of course, and then PWSA USA in general, to be able to provide to families that attend, because sometimes you enter these conferences and I find parents are kind of in their moment, right? And they're trying to figure out just what they're doing now. And sometimes some of the recommendations or some of the must-haves could be a few years from now, but you want to be able to have at least that knowledge of what you might be walking into later. So it's always good to kind of get that little bit of background information. And then I'm happy to continue doing this as long as I can. And I love providing any support and information for PWSA and the PWS community in general. So
Yeah, we love your support, Destiny, and you are like the epitome of someone who we've like sucked in to the community in every facet. You've come to the DC fly-in before. You wrote a whole children's book on Prader-Willi syndrome, and allowed us to share a reading of it that we still have on our YouTube channel, all these great things. So we just appreciate, yeah, everything that you've done for us, PWSA, and on behalf of the families and the support you give them. So again, can't wait to have you in June, join us. And we're going to have a link in the show notes to a lot of various helpful links in terms of, again, the survey, Empower Ed Solutions, your book, all those good stuff. So, yeah, we just appreciate all you do.
Well, I would love to come back if you guys have another session, anything around education, family support. I would love to participate. I think this is kind of one of those, whether you want to put this on or off. I find this very fun and enjoyable in this kind of manner of being able to help and support, and sometimes not being up on stage and 100 feet from the person. And here we're actually just we're in someone's car, we're in their home, we're in their earbud while they're doing their
Yes.
daily things. I mean, honestly, I enjoy listening to you guys. I learn so much, and so I would love to come back whenever you guys will have me.
Well, all
Awesome.
right. We're going to hold you to that. Thank you, Dr. Pasha, for your dedication, your work, and everything that you do for the PWS community. So, families, check that out. There will be a link in the show notes if you want to learn more. We also have a link to a new website, and this is from Aardvark Therapeutics. And this is a website for families to learn more about the HERO study, which is Hunger Elimination or Reduction Objective. This is the ARD 101 Phase 3 clinical trial. ARD 101 is being studied to see if it can help the body release certain gut hormones that may help reduce excessive hunger and food seeking behaviors in people with PWS. Families can explore the website to find more details about the study, including trial site locations, requirements to participate, FAQs, and more. You can visit the website by following the link in our show notes. And I'll say these next two kind of quickly because we've gone over them before, but there are two opportunities to support PWS research. One is the PWS Clinical Scholarships, available $25,000 to support providers in enhancing their understanding of PWS through clinical proctorships with experts in the field. And this is available to providers currently in practice in the U.S. who presently care or plan to care for patients with PWS. The other is a call for letters of intent for research grants. PWSA USA will consider two types of funding. The deadline for letters of intent is August 1st, 2025, 5 p.m. Eastern. Announcement of the award will be made on November 14th, 2025, and funding will begin on January 1st, 2026. There are a lot more details to both of these, so you will find links to learn more about that in the show notes.
And something very timely to end on here, Annie. Our resource spotlight of the week is our letter to friends and family blog article that you put together not too long ago. Was it last year?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was for
It's
last May.
Yeah, it's an incredible article. And, as part of PWS Awareness Month, we created it to be shared with family and friends. We know PWS may be challenging to discuss, especially with those closest to you. So, our hope is that this letter covers the vital information you need your community to know and can serve as a tool for learning and connecting. Topics include how to help families with PWS avoid isolation, creating a PWS friendly environment, reliable resources for PWS information, how to support the PWS siblings, behavior challenges and strategies, helping caregivers find a break, and the importance of the village. So, share this letter with your community for PWS Awareness Month as a way to spread awareness and grow your foundation of support. And we will have that link in our show notes. A great, great tool, Annie, that you put together. I know people are
Yeah.
very appreciative that it's available for them. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I hope so. I think it's important. I know I've talked with a lot of families over the years of various disorders and disabilities, and there are some families who they keep it to theyselves.
Right.
And that's great. Everybody's got their way to approach things. For me, I approach it in that I mean, I'll talk about anything, anytime, but my theory has always been that the more people understand Freya and PWS and her needs and her challenges, then the safer she is. And the more, not to use a woo woo word at the moment, but just the more authentic,
Yeah.
the more authentic everything feels because it's all out in the open and we all know what's going on. So
Right.
that's my
And
philosophy.
I love that. I think that's so, so true. And I also think you'd agree with me that talking can be very therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
And just sharing your story, letting it out is just kind of like a coping skill that I have. I think you have it too.
Yes.
That's
Ad
why we
nauseum.
love a microphone.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes, that is true.
Well, on
So
that note, we want to wish everyone I don't know, is it happy PWS Awareness Month?
yeah, let's make it happy. It is what it is. Happy National PWS Awareness Month, because these are our lives and we should celebrate them. And
Absolutely.
yeah. And if you make a social post and share your story and you want to tag us, that'd be great. We'd love to be a part of it and hear what you guys are talking about, what you're sharing. So yeah, please tag us.
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you want to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, visit www.pwsausa.org. And while you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. Don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.